encourage them to say no to getting into the situation where they, end up being addicted and have all these issues that they deal with as a result of that. And again, it's a difficult thing to approach. I don't know that there's any magic answers. There's no guarantee, what will happen in the future. But all I can think of is, as a parent, is just try to communicate with your kids. You could use an article like, Mike has wrote as like a starting point to talk to maybe your older kids about, this is what we're facing, this is what we're dealing with, and try to have that conversation and try to encourage that education. And some kids don't have someone to talk to, an adult, so maybe even if it's not your kid, but you know a kid that you care about and are concerned about, try to have that conversation with them, because that's probably our best line of defense, our first line of defense to try to address this issue. By the time it's people are using it, it's very difficult to change that habit, and we should continue to work to do that. But I think it goes back to a lot of education and a lot of communication with our kids, and just I thought it was just a really well done article, and it got me thinking about what we could be doing, what we should be doing to try to educate people.
I have a comment too, and I don't want you to be getting a big head down, but I was going to also comment on the article that you wrote about the toxic barrel fill, the hazardous waste barrel fill in Fremont City area. And I wanted to just sort of update the community on the fact that People for Safe Water are still working on this issue very diligently. The group, as I mentioned once before, is trying to reach some sort of a compromise position with that Ohio EPA can help us negotiate with the US EPA. With the change in administration, People for Safe Water feel like it is really important to get as complete a cleanup as we possibly can negotiate, and an enforceable agreement, and we have to do it pretty quickly, but while there may still be some funds to help with those things, and a will by the US EPA to enforce the Clean Water Act that we need to have to protect us. I would also point out that one of the things that we are trying to do, we've been told that we are not going to dig it up, truck it out, and we're pretty well okay with that. But we're not okay with it, but we've accepted it, let me put it that way. But there have been specific compounds that have been identified as the worst of the worst, that we are trying to be sure that those things are dealt with. This is in order to ensure that the high quality and wonderful quantity of water that we're able to produce here in Clark County can remain in perpetuity for the generations to come.
I'd like to comment on that also. I would like to, before any decision is made, Commissioner Duncan, I'd like Charles Patterson, our health director, to come and brief the commission. I understand what you're saying, as far as we're going to try to enter into some sort of an agreement or something less than what we really want. And I also understand that the director of health is the person who has to sign off on that. So I would like him to come to the city commission and discuss that with us.
Charles Patterson.
Charles Patterson.
Yeah, I'm sure that we could make that kind of
before any kind of agreement is entered into, because there are people that aren't in agreement with that. And I just want to make sure I understand all the work that the water folks have done, but I want Charles Patterson to come, and we've all kind of stepped back to let the forces take its toll. I'm not one that likes to give in to the government, and we are talking, and I don't have to tell you, I'm not preaching, we're talking the safety of our water. And I know it's in jeopardy today.
We absolutely are, and we've been talking about it since 1979.
And I was here when we started, Karen. So I'd like Charles to come and make a brief commission.
And I agree, and I would like to see Marilyn Welker attend as well, because Marilyn is the point person on this and has a great deal of knowledge about
Sure.
all the chemical compounds and their impact on the water and their volatility and the fact, you know, how easily they can travel and get into the water. I don't know the right terminology,
Sure.
and that's why, you know, I kind of leave the hard stuff, the scientific stuff to others, because that's not a strength for me. But I absolutely agree, but I would like to see Maryland included in that conversation.
I just had a question, Karen, if you would. What was the, has there been like an official statement from EPA that they're saying, no, you're not going to get, or is it writing on the wall as far as?
It's basically, it's writing on the wall.
Okay.
The US EPA, Ohio EPA had been backing and hanging very strongly with the local community and people that you know, that we have all gathered around with the whole idea that we wanted all of the hazardous wastes removed from the Barrel Hill, where it is in proximity to the aquifer that we all use. And Ohio EPA has been very strong with that, but there's been some pullback and some extreme pushing from the US EPA. They hired a consultant, they brought the Army
Is that
Corps
for-
of Engineers in, and that, with a $10,000 contract, which, as you know, in that world, $10,000 doesn't get you, doesn't get you a whole lot of depth. But I'd be happy to put you in touch with Marilyn, and she can send you some of the documentation. In fact, I'll give you a copy of the most recent email that I have here in front of me. That will catch you up a little bit. But yeah, the feeling is that some changes have happened at US EPA, some changes have happened, and some shift in emphasis at the Ohio EPA level, and there's some concerns that we need to get this resolved. And if we let it go without some sort of an enforceable resolution now, we may have lost an opportunity to get anything done. As I said, 1979 is
Did you rowdy guys there hold it down?
Is there a timeline, Karen? I can miss that. Is there a timeline at this point when we're meeting with all the key players here?
Don't we wish?
Okay.
No, it's dragging on, and this was, you know, Marilyn Welker with People for Safe Water continues to push the staff people of our state legislators, our senator and our state representative, that have been able to keep us putting pressure on the Ohio EPA. And they haven't been very responsive, but they've got a lot on their plate too. I understand that. This isn't, you know, their top priority necessarily, but it is ours. And we continue to push for some sort of resolution to get some answers to specific questions that we have for the US EPA.
And
I think we're illustrating that it's really, really good to have Marilyn Welker and Charlie Patterson come and tell us all this stuff.
right, and my concern is that with all the ships and staff in Washington, that this does not get lost. I agree with Karen on that, so thank you for your work.
Thank you, Commissioner. We will certainly have them here as soon as possible, not a problem also. And I think you referenced the email from Marilyn. I believe that the plan that they had, at least that was being suggested, I believe was contained in your retreat packets, I believe. So I think you have that as an attachment on that specific objective. If I could, I wanted to go back to something, Commissioner Martin, you talked about the heroin issue, and I also agree you did a nice job with the article. And I also don't want you to get a big head tonight, because that's too common what you got. But I want to put a quick plug in, because one other thing we can do about the heroin issue, a lot of the heroin we're seeing come in, and a lot of the crime we're seeing are all connected. And just to put a plug in for the 11 on May 2nd, to be candid with you, that Safe Streets Task Force that we're talking about, the 6 officers, we've had them before. They made a heck of a dent in crack cocaine issues that we dealt with many, many years ago. They'll make a heck of a dent in the suppliers and in the amount of heroin that comes into this community. So I just want people to know that that is a tool that we have in the plans that I would love to see us implement. So I just wanted to make sure everybody thought of that too as well. So thank you.
Well, the key thing is that we all know there's a problem. Springfield is clearly not alone. This is a state and national problem. We need to do everything we can about it. Name and address for the record.
Raymond Upshaw, 325 West Liberty, as always, non-finance. It started off, I've said years ago, that the prophecy of Nostradamus, record-breaking temperatures followed by a complete global warm-up. I'm sure America is starting to see that happen. This is February, and a few more days it's going to be in the 60s. So we know the prophecy is being fulfilled. I'm a 68-year-old Vietnam vet, and yet I'm being punished by people that are 20s and 21, haven't even been probably into a Salvation Army because I won't play the game, because I won't